Hello there! Today, in this video, we're going to be discussing the 6 kingdoms of life. Now remember, in the taxonomic categories, kingdom is the second, or the most broad of the categories. So today, we're going to go ahead and be discussing the following. We'll be discussing the 6 life kingdoms. The 6 kingdoms include eubacteria, archaebacteria, protista, fungi, plantae, and animalia. So let's start off with our prokaryotic kingdoms. These include the domain Archaea, which contains the kingdom Archaebacteria, and the domain Eubacteria, which contains the kingdom Bacteria. So in the next couple of slides, we'll be discussing what each of these means and the primary characteristics of each. The kingdom Archaebacteria. Archaebacteria are prokaryotic cells. Prokaryotic meaning they do not contain a nucleus inside their cell. They are also unicellular, meaning they're normally only one cell large. They can be autotrophic or heterotrophic. Autotroph meaning they can create their own food, either through photosynthesis or through chemical means, or they could be heterotrophic, meaning they go ahead and consume others to get their energy. They reproduce asexually. So with most species of bacteria, asexual reproduction is the main method of reproduction, meaning that they go ahead and more or less double all the information inside them and then split themselves in half, creating an identical copy of the original. A key characteristic of archaebacteria are these are extremophiles, meaning they can survive and live in areas that most organisms couldn't. So these could be extremely hot, extremely cold, extremely acidic, extremely basic, or even extremely salty environments that would completely annihilate others. Something else that's very important is archaebacteria do not contain peptidoglycan inside their cell walls. Peptidoglycan is kind of something like consider like a wire mesh around the outside of the cell in the cell wall. So the peptidoglycan is a component of the cell wall that is lacking in archaebacteria. Some examples include acidophiles, which love extremely acidic environments, halophiles, which love salty environments, and thermophiles, which love very hot environments, for example, like our bottom two pictures here of an underground sulfur vent or even a geyser. The kingdom Eubacteria. These are also prokaryotic, unicellular, autotrophic or heterotrophic, reproduce asexually, and these are your common everyday bacteria. So this bacteria can be found almost everywhere. It's on your skin, it's on your desk, it's on your headphones, it's on your phone, it's everywhere. Eubacteria. It's everywhere. Get used to it. Now another important thing about eubacteria is their cell walls do contain the substance peptidoglycan. So as we said earlier, peptidoglycan helps with the formation of the cell wall. Some examples include the bacteria that are used for strep throat, or a various type of infection. They can also be used for beneficial purposes, such as fermenting milk to make cheese or yogurt, and these are also organisms that can be found inside your digestive tract to help you digest and break down your food. Up next, we're going to discuss our 4 eukaryotic kingdoms. So these are the domain Eukarya, or sometimes considered Eukaryota. These contain the kingdom Protista, fungi, plantae, and animalia. So as we progress, we'll be discussing each of these individually, just like we did for the prokaryotic kingdoms. The kingdom Protista. These are eukaryotic individuals. Remember, eukaryotes are organisms that have nuclei inside their cells. So these are normally going to be a bit larger, a bit more complicated, and have the capabilities of being either single or multicellular. So Protista, these can be single-celled or multicellular. They can be comprised of just one tiny cell, or they can be a group of cells all working together. They can be heterotrophs or autotrophs, meaning they can either go ahead and consume others or create their own food. They reproduce sexually or asexually. They can either go ahead and create an exact copy of themselves or cross their genetic information with another to create an offspring with combinations of both. Some examples include amoeba, paramecia, and algae. So something to remember is Protista, these are kind of the oddballs. They don't quite fit into any other category. primarily because they can be a bunch of other things. They can be single-celled or multi-celled, heterotroph or autotroph, sexual or asexual. They're kind of like the junk drawer or the catch-all group of the 6 kingdoms. So remember, if it doesn't quite fit into another kingdom, it's probably a protista. Up next, we have the kingdom fungi. These are also eukaryotic. Most are multicellular, and they have a cell wall made of chitin. That's right, not chitin, chitin. They are heterotrophs. That's right, fungi cannot actually make their own food. They need to go ahead and consume others, and often do this through extracellular digestion. So they kind of leech off of other organisms. Now specifically, these are decomposers, which go ahead and help break down dead or decaying material. They can reproduce either sexually or asexually. And as we said before, one of the key characteristics of them is they have extracellular digestion and absorption. So that is the way they eat. So for example, we have mold and mushrooms are great examples of the kingdom fungi. The kingdom plantae, these are eukaryotic individuals. So remember, eukaryote contains a nucleus. They are often multicellular or containing more than one cell. They are autotrophs. Most plants are autotrophic, meaning they can create their own food, and most of these are photosynthetic, meaning they create energy from the sun. They can reproduce sexually or asexually, so sexually with the use of pollination, or asexually, self-fertilization. A key characteristic is these organisms all contain cell walls, which give them a lot of protection and help prevent the loss of water, but kind of restrict movement a little bit. And they are often the first base or the first level of food for communities. Some examples include trees, shrubbery, and flowers. Our final kingdom for today is the kingdom Animalia. So once again, these are eukaryotic individuals. They are multicellular, heterotrophs, meaning they must consume other organisms to get their energy, either other animals or plants. They can reproduce sexually or asexually depending on the species. And a key characteristic is they move around at least at some point during their life. As well as they do not have a cell wall, which is a key component in allowing for movement. Some examples include bears, sharks, and insects. That's right, for some odd reason a lot of people forget that insects are actually animals. So just keep that in mind for later use. And with that, that's going to go ahead and cover all of our 6 kingdoms. If you have any questions, please make sure to go ahead and see your instructor. But until next time, you all take care, and have a good one.